All right, it is 6:30 and we're going to call to order the regular meeting of the West Valley City Council this January 25th, 2022, 6:30 in the council chambers in West Valley City Hall. I am going to assume that all members are present. Mr. Hoon, I think, will be here momentarily. We will now turn the time over for the Inside the Video, City Video.
We're just here introducing non-opioid-based medications for the West Valley City Fire Department paramedics to be able to utilize in the calls that they respond to with West Valley City citizens. So this is a big deal for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is because we're just excited to provide different options to our paramedics to treat patients' pain. We feel confident that these two medications that we're introducing are going to be able to manage our patients' pain without some of the potential immediate side effects and possibly long-term side effects. Another reason this is exciting is because we're the first agency in the state of Utah to implement IV acetaminophen.
Really happy that we have this opportunity to give our paramedics and the public more options for pain medications. Studies have shown that IV acetaminophen and IV ketorolac, called Toradol, these two medications are non-opioids, don't have a lot of the sedative side effects of the opioids, and don't risk addiction in patients that may be susceptible to addiction or patients who've had problems with addiction in the past and don't want to be exposed to any opioid medications in the future to avoid further addiction problems. So this is really exciting. These medications are effective. In studies, they're as effective as the opioid options that we've been using for years, which we're not getting rid of. We're still going to have those. So patients just have more choices and our paramedics have more options for their protocols for treating patients' pains.
West Valley City Fire Department is leading the way and being progressive in how we manage and treat our patients when it comes to our EMS response. We've taken pride in always being progressive. We are the first agency in the valley to implement ambulance transport through the fire department. We've also, about 5-6 years ago, implemented a critical care paramedic program, which has been very successful and has been a great resource to this department, to the citizens of West Valley. This is just another step in that progressive mindset, and we're just thankful that we have a fire chief and Chief Evans and city administration and city council and mayor who are supportive of the things that we are doing to help to provide better and higher level of care for our patients.
Thank you. So we will now take time to, is there any, our minutes of January 18th, 2022. Or is there any discussion or a motion on these minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. So we now have our comment period. We only have one person that signed up, so I'm not going to do the spiel because they pretty much have it memorized. So we'll turn the time over now.
I wanted to be called number 10. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This week I've sent you a couple emails. The first one, 3 hours after I sent it, the state took care of that issue. But I appreciate the response from a few of you. The second one, once again, in the email, I talked about supporting documents. Anytime you want to see them, I have them available, or I can send them to you. To show that what is happening is clearly retribution. I don't need to go into details about that. I'm looking forward to the strategic plan meeting. Say that real fast 3 or 4 times, especially with our new faces. Councilman Whetstone. Yeah. So with Councilman Fichisiamu, it took me a long time to be able to pronounce that. So Councilman Harmon, It'd be great to see all the input, hopefully that you'll be bringing in from the citizens in your districts. I will be sending an email about the strategic plan from a public person or somebody in the public, from a property owner and, stuff like that. Look at it, consider it, throw it away, whatever. It's just a different perspective and a little bit of data on a couple of the things. And I put the grammar request numbers and stuff that I collected. So it might make it a little easier. So see everybody on Friday and stay safe out there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Seeing no other guests in the audience, I will assume we're done there and turn the time over to Mr. Pyle. Do you wish to make any comments?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll turn it over to the council. Does anyone wish to make a comment?
Not necessarily in regards to public comment, but I did want to congratulate and offer praise for our first responders in using the non-opioid. That day that I found out about it, I was actually doing opioid training for naloxone and was able to share that. And there was a lot of very impressed people from other municipalities there. So definitely a huge epidemic going on with our opioid overdoses and things. And this is great. It's groundbreaking. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, we'll now move to our public hearings. We have application SA 7 2021. Mr. Pyle, would you like to explain that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So this is an administrative action item, but it's a public hearing because of the amendment to the subdivision. So that's why we're holding a public hearing for this item. In describing it, it's a final plat approval. The applicant is Mr. Rick Dunham. It's roughly at 4525 West and 2100 South. And at that location, there's a 4-lot subdivision right now, the CR England. It's called the CR England subdivision. There's also a Dominion Energy facility there. They've had that there for some time, and it's a piece of property that's kind of a little remnant or just separate from that. They want to expand that facility in the future. So they've come and made application for amending this subdivision so that they will be able to do that. They don't have a time as of yet, and that will be an action that will also come to the council in the future when they do expand. But for the time being, this is just for the lot amendment.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions on that? Okay, we will now open the public hearing and ask for anyone to come forward. Seeing no one, we will now close the public hearing and put it to the council for ordinance 22-01.
I move for approval of ordinance 22-01.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second, and we'll turn it over to the city recorder for a roll call vote.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone.
Yes.
Councilman Harmon.
Yes.
Councilman Hune.
Aye.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We now move to ordinance 22-02. Mr. Pyle.
Thank you, ma'am. So the Family Fitness Center has not increased their membership fees since 2012, although there has been a drop in admission fee increase a few years after that. Expenses have increased, our operations have changed, and so we're at this time proposing a fee increase on those memberships. This would raise about $340,000 in revenue annually, and also would include, as part of that membership, usage for the membership holder of the outdoor pool, the Centennial Park pool, which previously was a county facility, and we took ownership of whatever that's been about a year, maybe 2 now.
Okay, thank you. So I'll turn it to the council for discussion or a motion.
As discussed, I'd motion to continue this for 2 weeks so that we can review again in the study meeting next week with our new Councilman Whitstone.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Turn it over to our city recorder.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes,
Motion for continuance passes unanimously.
okay, thank you. We will now turn to our resolutions. Our first one is 22-12. Mr. Pyle.
Thank you, ma'am. This resolution approves an interlocal agreement with Salt Lake County for water line easements that will enable Pioneer Crossing Park to have water for maintenance purposes. There's no increase or cost associated with for us with the interlocal agreement.
Thank you. I'll now turn it to the council for discussion or a motion.
I would move for approval of resolution 22-12.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. We'll turn it over to our city recorder.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you. We'll now move to resolution 22-13.
Thank you, ma'am. The Harmon Senior Recreation Center has had a relationship and agreement with Salt Lake County for a number of years that helps defray the costs of our senior meals program. And we would like to extend that agreement. This agreement, if approved, would take the form of an interlocal agreement that would have a expiration date of December 31st, 2023, and will bring $18,786 in reimbursed funds to us.
Thank you. I'll now turn it to the council for discussion or a motion.
I move forward for the approval resolution 22-13.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu,
Aye.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We will now look at resolution 22-14. Mr. Pyle.
Thank you, ma'am. This resolution concerns an annual action that the city council has directed that the city take to adopt and publicize our legislative agenda at both the state and the federal level each year. This resolution is for the state agenda. And though it's fairly generic in nature, the design and the intent of the resolution is to make sure that the public is aware of what we're doing in our legislative agenda area, which covers a number of different topics like economic development, transportation, policing, land use, and many other subjects.
Thank you for that explanation. I'll now turn it to the council for discussion or a motion.
Just a question. Is there a place I should be looking for a list of our agenda items that we send to the state?
That is a great question. So originally, when the council first asked us to do this, there was a request and there were some very specific reasons and things that we were putting in that agenda. Over the years, it's become more generic in form. And especially in the last couple of years with COVID, with the legislature, with the changes at the federal level for things like, I might just lost the term, earmarks. Yes. No, you're okay. Thank you, ma'am. We tend to adopt these resolutions in a more general format. So we talk about the topics, for example, taxation, land usage, things we're talking about. But we haven't for the past few years had more of a specific list that is attached to it. Maybe another clarifying point I can give you that is, as Ms. Cottle pointed out in the study meeting earlier today, we're following this year currently, what is it, some 60 bills. That number seems to get bigger each year. And so, and it's a very moving and fluid sort of target. So unless there's some very specific agenda that the council likes to approve or pursue by specific item, it will be more of a general. It's almost more of a pro forma. We want the citizenry to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're sort of approaching it, as opposed to more necessarily, this is the approved topic list of what we're doing.
I just think for me, I would want to know what are we sending to the state or to the federal government of our points of interest, so that when I visit with citizens in my district, I can say, I can find out first, or maybe I can give input.
Sure.
And then second, I can respond back if these are the important things that we as a city believe in and want, and then get feedback from them also. So,
Right, right. Well, one thing we could either formally attach to the agendas, the resolutions, sorry, or just provide to the council on an ongoing basis, which Nicole would have done tonight if it hadn't been for the glitch in the state tracking system. You do actually get a list of all the bills that we're following individually, what they're about, what our position is, whether or not we agree with the League of Cities and Towns, for example, or don't, or we're forwarding it ourselves, that sort of thing. So you will have that detail, just not in this format with the resolution, unless the council decides they'd like to have it that way.
I would like to see it, but then I'd also like to be able to comment on it and, have our voice be a part of that. So I'm the new guy, so you can throw rocks or whatever, but
Well, no rock throwing necessary. The other way you will, and we may not have made this clear either because we are so early in the year, but that legislative update that Nicole gives, we schedule that every week all the way through the legislative session. So you will have opportunity to comment on and talk about, hey, the citizens like this or expect this or wonder why we're doing that sort of thing. So you will have that opportunity.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Or a motion?
Move to approve resolution 22-14.
Thank you. We have a motion in a second. We'll turn it over to the city recorder.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
no.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes by majority.
Okay, thank you. We now have our federal legislative agenda, Resolution 22-15. Kyle, is there much more to add or?
No, ma'am, it's mostly the same thing. The bigger question that would be of any difference from the state is this question of earmarking. In years past, we would have a specific list of projects that we were pursuing funding for through congressional representation, that sort of thing. Federal government doesn't do earmarking anymore, so we don't have that specific list.
Any discussion or motion on this item?
Move to approve resolution 22-15.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Harmon,
No.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes,
Motion passes by majority.
thank you.
Just comment for that one and also the one that before that, the 14, 15. So we're gonna plan to do, I think it's Scott Harmon, he brought it out, very good point. So we plan to do something that about that city manager, right?
As far as providing a list,
Yeah. Or
yes,
something.
sir,
Yeah.
every week.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I would have voted yes if I would have known, if I would have presented with what we are giving to the state or the feds. I don't feel good about saying yes if I don't know what we're sending to them.
Right, and I apologize for our, we just had a technological glitch that prevented you from seeing that so far today, or you would have already seen that. So
Thank you.
Okay,
our bad on that.
thank you. All right, we'll move on to Resolution 22-16. Mr. Pyle?
Yes, ma'am. So this is an authorization to purchase replacement equipment for Scba or self-contained breathing apparatus equipment for Station 73, which, or say at Station 73, the old one being currently located at Station 74. So this machinery is basically an air compressor that fills the firefighters' oxygen bottles and tanks. We have one located on the east side of town, and now we'll have one on the, no, sorry, we have one on the west side of town. We'll now have one on the east side of town, 73.
Thank you. I'll now give it to the council for comments or a motion.
I move forward for approval. resolution 22-16.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We now have resolution 22-17. Mr. Pyle?
Thank you, ma'am. Through the Fleet Department or Division, we are contemplating purchase of a aerial lift for the new street light maintenance and expansion of that service. This is well, I don't want to get too jargony here, so I'll avoid all the letter designations, but it's basically is the lifting and service unit that will get mounted later on a truck and chassis. It has a 47-foot aerial lift or boom on it, so that we'll be able to maintain street lights and that sort of thing. Does not have the truck. The 120,000 is just for that equipment. We'll be purchasing the chassis and truck later.
Okay. I'll now give it to the council for a discussion or motion.
Move to approve resolution 22-17.
Second.
Thank you. We will now turn it to Ms. Kamic.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu,
Aye.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you. We now have our new business, which is to elect a mayor pro tem. And I'll turn it over to the council for motions and discussion.
I'm not hiding anybody about this, but I want to take that post so you guys can vote on that. You know, agree or disagree, but I'm interested in that one. Yeah.
Is the mayor pro tem, is the term run concurrent with the seated mayor, or is it is it 1 year? Is it 4 years? How does that work?
My memory is you can define it however you want, but it traditionally is run concurrently.
Runs concurrently.
Yeah. Am I correct on the can alter that, or is that a set?
It's set.
It's set. Okay, so it is concurrent.
I'd like to nominate Don Christensen as our mayor pro tem.
Just let me ask for clarification. Was Tom's a motion or just a comment? I don't know whether or not I need to look.
Let's do
for it.
motion. Yeah,
It's a motion.
yeah, no, it's, yep.
Okay, let me finish with that one then.
Okay.
So if that was a motion, do we have a second?
Says it doesn't need a second in the instructions. So we just go to
Yeah.
a vote.
Well, obviously, I didn't read the instructions. So if that was a motion, Nicole, what is our next step?
It could be an all in favor vote, or you could do a roll call vote. It's up to you guys.
Can we have more than one nomination and then just declare which one we're voting for?
You can vote and then,
I'll book it.
you know, eliminate from there and then go with the second one.
How long do we wait for a second?
Well, it doesn't need a
No,
second.
no
they said.
second.
No
Yeah.
second necessary. So we're asking
Got it.
for legal. Pardon?
Separate, sorry.
Separate?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move the motion for Tom and let's just turn it over to Ms. Kamic for a roll call vote.
Councilman Nordfelt,
No.
Councilman Christensen,
No.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Harmon,
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone.
Aye.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
No.
Mayor Ling.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority.
Thank you. We now will go to our consent agenda, which we have 5 items. If we could turn the time over to Mr. Pyle for that information.
Thank you, ma'am. There's nothing unusual with any of the individual ones. The first 2 are slightly more than the normal dollar amount that's attached to these as a normal course. The first one's just over $10,000 and the second one's a little over 2,000, if I remember right. The others are all in that sort of 300, 400-ish range. But
Okay.
the whole I have no reason to recommend not taking the whole agenda as one motion.
Okay, thank you. So I will now turn it to the council for discussion or a motion, and we can take them one at a time or all five at once.
I would move to approve the 5 items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone.
Aye.
Councilman Harmon.
Aye.
Councilman Hune.
Aye.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you. We do not have a need for a closed session, so our last is for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.